We've reached one of the most anticipated parts of the program. We couldn't wait any longer, and so let me introduce our third and last speaker for Era of Initiative, A Journey of Possibilities. Our third speaker for this year's Leadership Training Workshop is Mr. Robert Dominic Gonzales, with this talk entitled Into the Unknown. Please note that questions will be entertained after the talk. Mr. Robert Dominic Gonzales is currently a registered pharmacist and postgraduate intern at the University of Santo Tomas Hospital. In 2017, he received the Benavides Outstanding Achievement Award, Pope Leo XIII Community Development Award, and Gawad Dalido Award from the USD Faculty of Pharmacy. Simultaneously, he finished as a magna cum laude in the Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy.
He was also a lecturer and instructor for the pharmacy licensure exam from 2017 to 2019. While balancing studies and work, he was active in his leadership roles as well. He was the president of the UST Central Student Council from 2019 to 2021, and the president of B Medicine Batch from 2017 to 2018 and in 2021. Last 2020, he received the Manuel L. Quezon Leadership Award and the St. Dominic de Guzman Teamwork Award. This 2021, he was also awarded as the natatanging mag-aaral ng medisina ng Pilipinas for the National Capital Region and national level. Without further ado, let us all welcome and give Mr. Robert Dominic Gonzales a virtual round of applause.
So, this afternoon, I gave this talk a title of Into the Unknown. So if you guys are parang fond of watching Disney movies or Disney films, where do you think did this phrase come from? What Disney film or movie? I'll wait for your answers in the chat box. Let's make this interactive as much as possible. Okay, so it's from Frozen, Frozen 2 specifically. So Into the Unknown. So I gave this top title for our topic this afternoon because you see, the future is really an unknown. Like nobody here knows what the future holds for all of us. It may be good, it may be bad, but the things that are bound to happen in the future are all related to the present time. So what we do today, what we do now, influences what happens in our future. So it's typically, or should I say, it's not really an into the unknown journey, but if we are aware of our present times, of what we're doing currently in our present lives, it would be into the known future. Okay? So hopefully through this topic and this afternoon, we get to get to know more of ourselves, answer the unknowns within ourselves by developing our growth mindset. So before I start, I think my slides are lagging. Sorry. Oops. Okay, there. So before I start any further, so since we're going to talk about growth mindset this afternoon, no, as students and educators, are there teachers or faculty members here as well this afternoon?
None po, sir.
None?
But they're
Okay, so,
alumni. They're alumni.
oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay, so I'll be focusing siguro na lang on the point of view of students, student leaders, and as future college students, no, for all of you. So as students, student leaders, ayun, we are constantly advocating for this term called lifelong learning. So I think you've heard in your very own classrooms, no, that education doesn't just stop in the four walls of our classroom, that we're still bound to learn from our outside world as well. Well, in fact, for me, no, I think 20% of our learnings come from the classroom, but 80% comes from our day-to-day lives or interactions. So not just for students, student leaders, but for all people in general. Okay, so every now and then, some significant new research or theory comes to light that causes us to pause for thought. And in the recent years, the concept of growth mindset came about and has gained a lot of traction in terms of the educational circles. So it has come to uh, parang the trend na it became a buzzword, but unlike much of the jargons we hear right now, there is much of value in this recently coined concept to benefit both ourselves, educators, students, and readers alike. But before we take a look or define what growth mindset really is, let's take a brief look on the history on how growth mindset came about, what the term refers to, and why it has become an important concept. So in this slide, we can see an image of Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck is a psychology professor from Stanford University, and she was the one who coined the term growth mindset, or should I say mindset in general. Okay, so as Carol Dweck was venturing through her several studies, she mainly is concerned on studies about personality and development. So on her book, Mindset, this was published last 2007, she also defined here the definition of what mindset is, which is the ability of an individual to perceive his own abilities. So again, mindset refers to the way students perceive their own abilities. So she also argues that there are two sides of mindset, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Okay, so to see if you guys are still with me, so later on, I'll be asking like a few questions lang naman para makarelate kayo on the topic. Okay, so let's make it interactive as much as possible. Okay, so for our discussion today, so I'll be discussing four things or four parts. So first, the definition or contrasting differences between a fixed and a growth mindset. Second is the changes in our mindsets over time. So here we will answer the question, Sir, nag-iiba po ba yung mindset ng isang tao? Or Dr. Rob, Doc Rob, kaya pa po bang baguhin yung mindset ko right now as I grow old? Okay, so third thing that we will discuss, factors influencing our mindset. And lastly, how to improve or what are the things that we can do to improve our mindset. Okay, so let's start off with number one, differentiating fixed versus growth mindset. So defining our mindset. Okay, so guys, I want you to help me out here. So I want to see your responses on the chat box if that's all right. Okay, so what do you guys think of when you see or hear the term fixed mindset? So I just need a few answers and help me out. Okay, so I got one response here. Thank you, Jude. Fixed or aligned. Okay, focus. Okay, fixed, focus. Yes. Right. Rigid, aligned mindset, perhaps hindi nababago. Okay, very good. Fixed or planned, rigid doesn't change. Okay, so thank you so much for your answers. And okay, still getting some more limited. Okay, I agree with all of your answers here. Okay, so when we say fixed mindset, it necessarily pertains to what you've said here on our group chat. Okay, never changing point of view. Yes, that's right. So deriving from the word fixed, it's just stuck in one point. Okay, so now I want you guys to help me out in defining this term as well. So growth mindset. So what do you guys think of, or do you guys associate this with? Okay, so I got here an answer, pabago-bago ng mindset. Not necessarily pabago-bago in a bad way, but pabago-bago in a good way. So it's just like it's evolving. It changes over time. That's right, Rain. Thank you. Okay. So Kirsten, Juliana, open-minded. Okay, so thank you so much for that answer. So evolving point of view, exactly, Jan. Okay, Brianna, learning. So it's just like a learning mindset. Okay, very good. So thank you so much for your answers. And that's exactly what I wanted to hear. when we define the term growth mindset. It seems that you guys are well oriented on the different views or mindsets that a person has. So right now, our goal, if you're currently, that, like for example, you're currently stuck in a fixed mindset, I hope that at the end of this topic, you get to learn how to discover yourself on your own, on how to develop your very own growth mindset. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. So let's define growth mindset first. Okay, okay, so growth mindset is the belief that intelligence can be developed. Students with a growth mindset understand that they can get smarter through hard work, the use of effective strategies, and help from others when needed. It is contrasted with a fixed mindset, like what we said a while ago, no? That the belief that intelligence is a fixed trait and that it is set to stone at birth. But that's not really the case because again, intelligence and growth is ever evolving. Okay? So why does this matter? Why do you think is it important for us to discuss growth mindset? So students' beliefs about intelligence have important consequences for how they experience school and how they respond to setbacks and adversities. When students hold a fixed mindset, school can be a very threatening place for them because they may feel worried about proving their abilities or avoiding looking dumb without the experience of learning. So it's just like you're focused more on proving yourself, proving that you're smart without the idea of learning things. So it's just like, I think if you've heard of this, no, some teachers always say this na mataas nga yung nakukuha mong grades, pero may natutunan ka ba? So that's the question that we must ask ourselves. Like, yes, we get 99s, we get 100s, we get A pluses on our grades or cards, but did we really learn from the topics that were discussed? So we must always ask that question to ourselves. Okay. So, and then the downside of having a fixed mindset is that it can lead students also to avoid future challenges and give up when they struggle. Okay, but when students hold a growth mindset, they may experience school as an exciting place to grow, embracing challenges as opportunities to develop mastery. Okay, so here on this slide, we have a table. Okay, so it's basically just summarizing the ideas that you told me a while ago. So it differentiates a fixed mindset from a growth mindset. So we defined them already. Basically, fixed rate cannot change. Growth, ability to be malleable. So if I think malleable is a scientific term now, but probably you've heard this in chemistry, like malleable metals, like that. So if it's malleable, it means that you can shape it. It changes in shape, it can evolve, it can change in form. Okay, so that's what growth mindset pertains. The interpretation of effort. So in a fixed mindset person, the person deems effort as bad and thinking that if you're smart, you don't need to do hard work anymore. But if you have a growth mindset, it pertains to effort as a good thing. And this is how you get better. In effort with effort, if you put heart or effort into something, means that you will develop into that. Or you will develop that skill. Okay. So next, motivation in school. So if a fixed person wants to be motivated, again, just like what I told you a while ago, that person is always concerned about being smart, being on top. But again, that person doesn't ask himself or herself, did I learn? Okay, so how can I apply these learnings? Did I learn? Okay, so that person always forgets to ask himself about that. But if you have a growth mindset, what matters most is learning. So you can further improve your ability. Okay, so it's just like you're already good at something, but you don't stop being good at that something. Okay, you seek to be better and later on to be best on your own craft. So that's what a growth mindset person is. So next, behavioral response to academic setbacks. So if a fixed person has struggles or academic setback, that person is prone to be helpless or prone to having a feeling of helplessness. Setback is a sign that you don't have what it takes. So it's just like if you're a fixed person, you're always self-loathing, that if you encounter a struggle or a challenge in front of you, you feel that parang this is the end of the world. Di ko to kaya, di ko siya magawa. Paano ba to? Di ko na to kaya. I give up. So fixed mindset people tend to give up easily. Okay? So next, how about if you're a growth mindset person? So growth mindset person have resilience instead of helplessness. Because again, if you're a person with a growth mindset, you tend to see these challenges or problems as points of improvement. That you are far from being perfect, but you are capable of improving and developing yourself. Okay? And as leaders or as future student leaders, that is a very important trait of a leader. Okay? So I want to ask you guys, what do you think about criticism? Criticisms, like if a person criticizes you, is that a bad thing or a good thing? So you can answer me sa chat box ng good or bad. Okay, so again, if a person criticizes you, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Okay, so thank you, Jude. Okay, thank you, Nathan. It's good and bad. Generic, depends. Okay, so tama yung sagot nyo. It actually depends. It's both good and bad. Okay, so I want to use an example here, no? Like, let's say your student council or a student council or even the government. Okay, so criticism is good if we do it in a constructive way. Like, for example, I'm a citizen of this country. I can criticize the government in a good way by saying, government, kailangan nating mag-improve sa ating health response sa pandemya. Kailangan nating bawasan yung military at mas dagdagan yung medical response to the pandemic. Because on my point of view po, as a healthcare professional, I think that guns, bombs, military tanks won't be of help in solving this pandemic. But what would be of help in this pandemic would be medical solutions, science, technology, and research. So that's one way of constructively criticizing the government or a group of people. Okay, but let's say, for example, how do I do it in a bad way? If I criticize someone in a bad way, so let's say merely focusing on someone's look, like sasabihin natin na ang pangit mo naman, or kunwari sasabihin mo na hindi ka marunong, hindi ka magaling, wala kang mararating sa buhay. Ganon. So those are bad ways of criticizing a person. So how do we shift those things that I said in a parang constructive way? So yung ang pangit mo naman, how can we better phrase that? So we can tell or say to the person, I believe that no one is ugly, no? Kasi lahat tayo, we have our own unique beauties within us, or may mga kanya-kanya tayong kapogian at kagandahan, kumbaga. Okay? So we can better phrase those things like saying na, friend, I think you can further improve your hygiene by doing this, doing that. You can comb your hair so you can look more presentable or better when facing the public. Ganun. So those are good constructive ways of criticizing someone. Okay? So again, criticism can be both good and bad. And if you have a growth mindset, you dwell more on constructive criticism. Okay? Same as true for your student leaders, student council, no? I want you guys to imbibe the ability to accept constructive criticism. Okay? Let's say, for example, your student body tells you na hindi ko na-feel yung student council namin. Or let's say, yung student council namin wala naman ginagawa. Okay, so I've experienced those things already as a student council president. That there will be times na hindi talaga tayo mafe-feel ng student body natin. But the next important question is, how do we respond to those criticisms? Okay, some leaders will get furious, will get mad, but a good leader will take those criticisms as points of improvement. So that's the hard way or hard thing that I learned no when I was still president of USC, like for the past 2 years when the pandemic started and before the pandemic. I was president for 2 years. Then I learned the hard way because I kept experiencing or receiving criticisms from our student body with regards to how our student council works. But we learned from that throughout the month. And we were able to develop ourselves para mas maramdaman or ma-feel kami ng student body namin. Okay? So again, I did not take it negatively. I did not become furiously mad about the criticism, but I took it as a point of development or improvement. Okay? And hence, when the school year ended, when the school year came about, what happened? We received good feedback, good ratings from our student body. The student council was awarded with a St. Dominic de Guzman Leadership Award. And I personally also was awarded as a recipient of the Leadership Award. So see, good things come to those who take things lightly and learn from them. It's not always about emotions, but okay, emotions are part of human beings, but it's not always about being mad, being furious. Okay, we need to process things as we experience them. Okay, and lastly, here on this table, last row, meaning of failure. So for a fixed mindset person, failure is the end of the story, time to give up. While for a growth mindset, failure is just the beginning of another story. And again, it's time to try and try again until you succeed. Okay, so next here, I have a flow chart. I want you guys to follow through with me. So this is an example of a case, no? So here we have a student receiving a poor grade on an assignment or an exam. So here on the left side, we have here a person with a fixed mindset, while here on the right side, we have here a person with a growth mindset. Okay, so let's start off with the fixed mindset person. So the person got a poor grade on an assignment or exam. That person believes her intelligence is fixed. Person says, I'm stupid at this. I shouldn't even bother trying. Next, what happens? That person concedes to what he or she thinks na she's at that level only, that she cannot further improve. For that person succumbs into a decreased effort. Hindi na siya mag-effort to improve. And ultimately, the person will have a diminished academic performance or engagement. Okay? Hence, or on the other hand, okay, here on the right side, we have a growth mindset person. So look, if the student believes her intelligence can still grow or develop, that person tells himself or herself, I haven't mastered this yet. I need to work harder or try a new approach. Okay, so see the beauty of this statement, no? It's wonderful because that person tries to look at other possibilities on how to further develop. Saan ba ako nagkamali? Ganon. Paano ko ba mas mai-improve yung grades ko in the future? Do I need to change my study habit? So those are the questions that a growth mindset person asks himself or herself. So next, what happens? So there will be increased effort and the use of positive learning strategies and increased academic engagement and performance. So it's a positive feedback. Once you develop this on yourself, it further goes up again. Okay, it goes up again. So it's a positive feedback. It repeats the cycle. Okay, so again, you can believe, you believe that you can grow as a person. That goes on, that develops, and it's a good thing for you in the future. Okay. So next, here, I want to say more things. No, when a student holds a fixed mindset, school can be a threatening place. And in contrast, in students with a growth mindset experience school as a place to learn and grow. So I want you guys to answer in our chat box. How do you deem your like current situation right now in your educational system? Not necessarily pertaining to your school, but the educational system in general. How do you deem it to be? Is it a threatening place or a place to learn and grow? So you can answer me sa chat box ng like just type red or green, ganun. And we know what that means already in here. Okay, so that's good. Kasi you guys deem your current schools right now as, or current educational system right now as places to learn and grow. And that's a good thing. Because I know that it's the pandemic times and most of you started with face-to-face classes growing up, right? You grew up having face-to-face classes. And it was a shocker for everyone when the pandemic started because we were forced to shift in an online setting. So because of this online setup, it also has affected our way of deeming education as a nice place or nice area to learn. So kumbaga no, right now, majority or if not majority, a lot of students think of education as a burden. It's more of a requirement than a place to learn because of the pandemic. Okay? So that also gives us a parang sense na we need to work on the mental health of people as well because of the pandemic. Okay, so on the next slide, okay, we'll be discussing change in mindset over time. So like what I told you a while ago, if you still remember, can I still change my mindset? Like if, for example, I am a fixed mindset person right now, can I still become a growth mindset person? So yes or no? The chat box, yeah, wait. So yes, I can still change. Okay, very good. So thank you for listening. Okay, so yes, we can still change our mindset from having a fix to being a growth mindset person. So how do we do those things? Okay, so I'll be sharing with you a few studies. No, these were conducted in different countries abroad, so mostly in the Americas and in the Europe. So they said that there are pieces of evidences that students' mindset can change over time, and it also fluctuates. It doesn't just change one way; it can change both ways. Like for example, you're already a growth mindset person. There can be times when you become a fixed mindset person, which is somewhat a bad thing because our goal is to maintain ourselves in the growth mindset. But because of our experiences in our day-to-day lives, we cannot, it's inevitable per se to have our mindset change. So enumerating some studies and their findings, no? So they're here in the bullet. So a handful of studies state that undergraduates do change their mindset over their first year college. So right now, majority of you are senior high school students here, right? Or high school? Am I right? Or there are college students already in here? Are there colleges na ba here?
Kuya Rob, so mostly high school students, but there are
Okay.
college students rin po listening today.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so there. So on these studies, no, these were on the first bullet. This was mainly conducted on first year college students. So I hope if there are first year college students listening to us right now, I hope this parang gives them an overview of how their mindsets are working on. Kasi if if I may know, in this study, they stated that the factors that you are experiencing as a first year college student shapes your mindset. So what do I mean by that? They said that if you are a first year college student, you are still adjusting to the new setup from being in a high school to being in a college. So those are parang big impediments on how you're able to change yourself into a growth mindset person now, according to the studies. So therefore, knowing what these changes you're experiencing in college is important. Knowing how to deal with them, knowing how to avoid them, knowing how to use them properly will help you in your course throughout your college years. So later on, I'll be enumerating some factors which I mentioned here. Okay. So another thing, students also tend to decrease in their growth mindsets and increase in fixed mindsets throughout their senior high school years. Is this true? Like right now, be honest with me. How many of you guys here think that you are a fixed mindset person or a growth mindset person? You can be honest with me here. Like, you can type siguro fixed or growth sa chat box. There's no harm in saying you're a fixed type person currently kasi you can still evolve. Okay? We're just like Pokemon. We can still evolve. Okay, so there are a lot of people saying they're fixed mindset, but there are also a lot of people saying they are in the growth mindset already, which is good. Okay, for those who are still at the fixed mindset, never forget that you can still develop the growth mindset in you. Okay, so I got a good answer here from Jude. Fixed pero growth to the things I like. Okay, that's good. A. Walsh said, "Sir, it's hard to diagnose oneself." Well, I have to agree with that also because, again, self-discovery is a process. Maybe right now you still don't know who yourselves are and you're still at the process of discovering, and I understand that. We respect that. Okay, Nathan has a question. "Sir, is it possible to have both?" So just like what I told you a while ago, there are fluctuations in our mindset. You can be growth mindset one day, but tomorrow you have a fixed mindset because of the external factors that you are experiencing. So that's possible. But simultaneously, you can't have them both. They're fluctuating. Okay. So another last bullet, more work is still needed to understand the dynamics of students' mindsets. Because again, their studies mainly focus on senior high school students and college students, which are first year pa lang. Okay, so they're still working on studying the growth mindset for the lower year levels or elementary or postgraduates as well. Okay, so next. So here we have the brain. So I want to share something with you guys, now, something that I learned from our neuroscience classes or neurology classes. Okay, so I hope you guys become interested with the brain here. Okay, so one best thing about our brain, aside from helping us think or function, is that it's capable of neuroplasticity. So I'll type it on the chat box for those who haven't heard this term yet, okay, or seen this term yet. Have you guys seen the term neuroplasticity already or heard about it? Not yet. Okay, so let me define it to you guys. So neuroplasticity. So neuro, okay, comes from the word neuro, which is the brain, pertains to the brain. Okay, what about plasticity? Plasticity means that, what do you think about plastic? Diba plastic can change forms depending on the environment. Like if it's heated, it can melt. If it's cooled down, it can harden. Or if you shape it into something, like for example, a plastic chair that we sit on can become a chair, which is helpful because of what happened to it. It became heated for it to be melted. You shaped it, you cooled it down, it became a chair. Okay, so another thing. So plastic can also be very helpful, but right now I think it's more of parang overproduction of plastics causing damage na rin sa ano no sa environment. But just for the parang thought of plastics being helpful. It can help us store a lot of things like plastic bags, plastic cups, containers, etc. Okay, so applying that concept in our brain, plasticity is also uh, in effect in our respective brain. So what do I mean by that? So that means, according to studies, no, I learned also in our neurology classes that our brain is capable of being plastic, that it is malleable. We can shape it based from our experiences and the way we think. Okay, so I, for one, believe that intelligence also is something that is malleable, just like our brain. But again, we have different forms of intelligences. If I say academic intelligence, that's just one thing. I hope you know that there are other forms of intelligences as well, like physical intelligences, social intelligences, emotional intelligences, okay, and many more. Okay, so just as scientists are still learning that the brain is actually able to heal itself like other body parts, influenced also by proper lifestyle, habits, eating, exercising, and sleeping, I also believe that it's possible to change one's intelligence in the same way. So I believe that although people are born with certain IQ can still change throughout a person's lifetime. And in the same way, I believe that by taking care of your brain, you can actually change its structure and performance. So likewise, one can change his or her IQ. Okay, so again, one explanation on why our mindset can change or develop is because of our brain. Because the brain is capable of changing its neuroplasticity, the brain is capable of adapting to what's happening to our surroundings. Okay, so if something bad is happening around you, your brain responds. For example, you trained it to become a growth mindset brain. It helps you respond to the challenge that you're experiencing in a good way so that you don't succumb to it. You don't give up to the challenge. Okay? So again, training our brain to have a growth mindset is also a habit. So don't be too hard on yourself. Siguro one time, two times, three times, you may stumble in developing a growth mindset. But then again, don't be too hard on yourself because this is an ever-changing process. Take it day by day. Okay? It's a habit that you can develop day by day. So don't stop. You never know that on your fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, and so on, you have a growth mindset already. Okay, you know how to have a growth mindset already. Okay, so next. Okay, so what are the factors influencing our mindset? So let me enumerate a few things in here. Okay, so I have 5. So these were also based from studies. So number 1, factors on academic experiences shape our mindset. So according to studies, students who tend to have lower grades or lower academic marks tend to have a fixed mindset. But the next question is, how do they have, or how do we shift or help them have a growth mindset? So that's with the help of our educators. So kaya inask ko kanina sa inyo na if there are teachers here right now, because I think this will be a very helpful talk for them as well. Because the way our teachers deal with us will help shape the mindset that we have right now. Okay? If our teachers don't focus on our grades, but focus on our learning, we will develop easily a growth mindset. What do you think is the problem right now with our educational system? These are the thoughts that were running through my mind now as I grew older. Because when I was in high school, I also was very grade conscious. Actually, up until now, when I graduated in college and in med school, I was also grade conscious. But what do you think is the problem with our educational system in this country? Yes. So thank you, Avery. So exactly. People always equate high grades to success. The problem with our educational system in our country is that it's focused on students having high grades. Okay? That's also the problem with our online setup that I wanted to open up a while ago. Na students are clinging to getting high grades. That's why they resort into having parang, kumbaga, nag-cheating, ganon. Also, students resort to parang searching for the answers instead of learning the actual answers because of the online setup, right? And the answer to that is because they want to get high grades. But the question prevails. Did we learn after taking the quiz? Did we learn after answering the quiz but searching for the answers only? Did we actually learn from those? Okay? So academic experiences shape our mindset. So let's say, for example, you are a person who gets high grades naman. In this study, they said that if you are a person who knows how to go through your math problems, go through your chemistry problems, they said that you are also a person who can develop a growth mindset easily because you know how to do problem solving. Okay, but again, there are a lot of factors that we must consider also. Okay, solving chemistry or solving math problems is not necessarily correlated to solving real life problems. Okay, so life experiences also help shape who you are right now. Okay, so next factors, observing peers. Okay, so have you guys ever experienced na parang if you are having a trouble, you share it with your friends? Or parang after a tiring day, for example, you get bad grades, no? Or bumagsak ka sa exam. Then as soon as you exit the building, you meet your friend, sasabihin mo sa kanya, uy friend, bumagsak ako dun sa exam eh. Tapos sasabihin ng friend mo sa'yo, uy, huwag ka mag-alala, ako din bagsak. Tapos after nun, pareho na kayong masaya. Na kahit bagsak kayo pareho, you're still both happy. I think there are parang those are the moments that we miss ng face-to-face classes, no? Kasi parang precious times, ganun, na they help us distress as well. Okay? So for number 2, observing peers. So they said that in this study, if you surround yourself with people or peers na parang you treat them as your role model and you see how they survive the challenges in their day-to-day lives, you learn from them. Okay? Like for example, you have a friend who is a student leader who tries to juggle both academics and student leadership life. Okay? So from there, you exchange stories with each other. Parang tatanungin mo siya, uy, paano mo nasa-survive yung ACADS? Ang hirap-hirap na maging isang student leader sa panahon ngayon. Okay? Tapos mag-share sa'yo yung person, yung friend mo. So through his or her sharing, you learn that parang sasabihin mo sa sarili mo, uy, kaya niya pala. So kakayanin ko din. Ganun. So parang na-inspire tayo, kumbaga. Na-i-inspire tayo by observing our peers or friends. Okay? So these are also factors that we can consider in developing our mindset. So my tip here in observing peers, surround yourself with the right people. Okay? Surround yourself with supportive people na hindi ka i-judge for your dreams or happiness in life, but will help you develop into a better person. Of course, kailangan ka nilang sabihan ng constructive criticism kapag may mga ginagawa kang bad things or parang not nice, ganun. So they need to constructively criticize you as well. So it's part of being in a good, supportive group. Okay? So third factor, deducing logically. So for example, magbibigay ako ng case sa inyo. Actually, wag na pala para hindi tayo tumagal, no? Meron kanina na nabigay na akong case, yung student na yung flowchart a student who got a poor grade on an assignment or exam. So did you see there who was able to deduce things logically? Was it the person on the left side or on the right side? Sino doon? So the person on the left side was a fixed mindset person, and the person on the right had a growth mindset person. Okay, so the person who was able to deduce logically was the one on the right. Kasi ano yung sinabi niya sa sarili niya? Anong sinabi niya dun sa sarili niya? Balikan natin. Pakita natin yung chart. Ayan. Anong sabi niya? I haven't mastered it yet. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, dineduce niya logically yung nangyari sa kanya. Na probably, hindi niya forte yung topic. Probably, hindi pa niya naaaral fully yung topic. Therefore, you don't just say, I give up. You try to learn more about that topic. Okay? So that's one way of deducing logically. Another thing, for example, you come across a challenge as a student leader. Kunwari, hindi natuloy yung event nyo kasi merong hindi sumipot na speaker o kaya nagkaroon ng internet connectivity problem, for example. So how do we deduce those things logically? So first, kunwari, yung hindi umattend na speaker, let's say, pwede nating i-adjust yung date or pwede tayong humanap ng bagong speaker. So those are some alternatives. Okay? Deducing it logically also states that baka may pinagdadaanan yung speaker nyo. Like for example, baka nagka-emergency. So I try to understand kung ba't hindi siya nakapunta. Or second, parang pwede siyang baka may duty siya bigla or schedule siya na tinawagan siya, ganon. Okay? So those are some ways of deducing things logically. Okay? So basically, if you deduce logically, it's just like saying you try to make rationales or rationalizations on why things are happening. Okay? So for number 4, taking societal cues. So taking societal cues can be both a harming and a good thing for us. Let's say, for example, no, a harmful way of taking societal cues is in our country. Like, for example, sinasabi kasi karamihan dito sa country natin, no, that if you're a girl daw, you can't do as much as boys. Is that true? No, because I, for one, believe that boys and girls, and even our LGBT community members, should all be equal in sense. But given our culture in our country, like even our mga political leaders, government leaders, they're quite misogynistic kasi, and they often mock the LGBT members, which is not a nice thing. So I hope through time, with our generation right now, of course, lalo na sa inyo, the younger generation, I hope we continue the fight towards equality as well. Okay? Therefore, we take effect in taking societal cues. So another example of a good societal cue would be, for example, right now, what I see, which is good, it's really nice. Throughout the years, I've experienced this. Kasi nung nag-college ako before, mental health is not much of a big thing pa noon. But right now, one good improvement in our country is how we deal with mental health. Kaya ang dami-dami nating talks about mental health ngayon, like for the past few months or years. Ganon. So taking societal cues in a good way, the society is improving in terms of the perception of mental health. So right now, if they say na malungkot ako or naiiyak ako, we don't take it negatively already. Because kapag sinabi nating malungkot ako, naiiyak ako, that's just a normal human emotion or experience. Okay? Kung naiiyak kayo, kung malungkot kayo, huwag kayong makikinig dun sa mga boomers na sasabihin na, uy, gawa-gawa lang yung mga nasa isip mo, wala-wala lang yan, ba't ka malungkot? Diba? Some boomers are like that. Okay? But right now, as we go throughout the generations, I hope we break that stigma on mental health also. Okay. Number 5, formal learning. So formal learning basically just states that na yung learnings natin inside the classroom help shape our mindset. Like yung mga teachers natin, they're the most important element in number 5 because the way our teachers deal with us na kunwari if one of my kunwari teacher ako, if one of my students gets a bad grade or get a not nice grade, no, sasabihan ko ba yung student ko na, uy, bakit di ka marunong sa ganyan? Uy, dapat alam mo to. Uy, dapat inaral mo yan. Bakit di mo inaral? Bakit sila alam nila? So do I tell that to my students? No. Okay? So as a teacher who believes in the mindset of having a growth mindset, I need to tell my student na parang susupport ko siya, kumbaga. Sasabihan ko siya na, okay lang yan, it's just one exam. Thank you pa rin for taking effort in answering our exam kasi I know that you studied but it's just difficult for you to answer it. So tell me if I can help you out with anything. Do you want me to teach the lesson again? So those are some ways of how our teachers or educators can help us develop our growth mindset. So here, since we're having a leadership training seminar right now, no, as leaders, probably kayong mga officers na nandito ngayon, meron kayong mga members nyo na pumapalpak at some point, right? Like there are some members in the council na hindi nakakasunod ng proper instructions, ganun. So my advice for our officers is that they should always remember helping these people develop growth mindset. Don't be too hard on them. Help them develop. First, ask them what went wrong. Okay. Second, try to address or develop or devise ways on how to improve the next time around. Okay. So good communication works well, just like in any relationship. Good communication will help a lot. Okay. So next, here are the things that we can do to improve our mindset. So I hope to those who answered fixed mindset a while ago, so I hope this helps you out, no? So what we've learned about how to promote a mindset. So first, it is possible to promote a growth mindset by teaching students about neuroscience evidence, just like what I did to you a while ago. So sinabi ko sa inyo na ang brain natin ay capable of neuroplasticity. So don't just give up on yourself yet. You can still improve, okay? And that the brain is malleable and gets strong through 3 things, okay? It's not enough that you know that the brain is malleable or neuroplastic. You need to do 3 things. First, give effort, okay? It may be hard at first. Walsh answered, Sir, right, if you're older, neuroplasticity wanes. Yes, that's right. Right now, there are studies na parang I think 40s, if you reach 40s, it has something to do with the hormones of a person. If you reach 40s or the elderly stages, neuroplasticity already wanes. But as long as you're age 1 to 40 years old, you can still develop your neuroplasticity. They said according to studies, but it's still ongoing. So changes in the age group can still happen. After 40, you can change your habits. Most likely, yes. But it's parang based from our patients, no, I actually am not yet well versed with several studies, but noting the logic behind the neuroplasticity and age correlation, it is hard but not totally impossible to change your habits when you reach those ages. Okay? Kasi when we see patients already na parang matatanda, sinasabi namin parate na mahirap na silang turuan. Like for example, telling them to stop smoking or telling them to stop drinking. It's difficult when they're adults already. Yes, it's possible, Walsh, but not impossible. Okay, we have patients who are already 50 plus years old, 60 plus years old. When we tell them to stop smoking, stop drinking, they do stop naman. Okay, but then again, these are also shaped by their personal experiences. Like for example, that person stopped smoking because he or she had cancer of the lungs. Kaya siya na-force mag-stop. Okay, so na-change yung habit niya because of that. Okay, so thank you for your question, Wash. Okay, so and lastly, so encourage students to adopt more of a growth mindset by changing the way in which we interact with them. So right now, tough love, tough love is not really helpful in our generation. Okay, caring love is what's helpful for our generation, especially for our educators. Dapat caring love yung ituro sa mga estudyante natin. Okay? Oh, I forgot the sub bullets here. Forgot to mention them a while ago. So I'm done with effort. So second, trying new strategies. If one strategy doesn't work, do you give up already? No. Okay, so you try out new strategies. Like let's say before, I had a hard time in developing my own study habits. Dati, I like studying kapag nighttime. Pero I noticed that when I study at nighttime, I tend to get lower grades on my quizzes. So what did I do? So I slept during the night. Like when I got back home, siguro mga 7 p.m., tulog na ako or 8 p.m. Then I wake up ng 1 a.m. That's the time that I study. So 1 a.m. onward, tuloy-tuloy na yon sa classes ko. Like I have classes ng 7 a.m. I won't sleep anymore. So I trained myself. It's a habit that I developed na parang it's a new strategy for me na mag-study ng 1 a.m. onward, tuloy-tuloy. Kasi I noticed, no, pagka-uwi ko from class, I'm tired. My brain is tired. So, the response kapag pagod ka, anong response ng tao? Dapat magpahinga, right? So that's what I did. So I rest. When I'm tired, I rest. That's why when I got back home, I rested. So I slept. I got fully rested. I rest well. So I woke up ng 1 a.m. feeling refreshed. My brain is refreshed. I can study now. That's my parang logic behind doing that. So next, number 3, seeking help when necessary. So ito, I think this is one thing that we also need to learn the hard way, no? Before, I am an independent person. I don't like asking help from other people. Nung high school ako, parang I treated myself before as parang meron akong superhuman complex noon nung high school ako. I'm honest with myself kasi those are the bad days of myself. And right now, I developed them already. Na I didn't like asking help from other people because I told myself, kaya ko to sagutan. Ganun. Di ko na kailangan yung iba. Ganun yung lagi ko sinasabi sa sarili ko. But time came about when I grew older. I realized that not everything is possible. Not everything is, kumbaga, if one person is not capable of doing everything. Ganun. Okay? So one person is also not capable of knowing everything unless you're a real genius or you have a photographic memory. Okay? So don't be afraid to ask help when necessary. It's not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's a sign of strength and unity. Okay? So don't hesitate to ask your classmates or fellow student leaders to ask for help when you're having a hard time or difficult time. Okay? So I think I need to skip this. It's too technical. It's for my other talks para sa sa mga profs and teachers sana. Okay? So here on this slide, so if there are parents right now, or if you're close to your parents no, and teachers, I hope you share this to them, that changing parents and teachers interactions, everyday interactions with their students are also helpful in changing their mindset. Researchers have also observed that parents and teachers everyday interactions with their students can create mindsets that support and undermine resilience. By changing the way in which we interact with our students, we can encourage them to adopt a growth mindset. For example, students adopt a growth mindset when adults also focus praise on process rather than ability. So again, let me emphasize on that statement. Focus praise on process rather than the ability. So what do I mean by this? Look at this table. So here on the left side, these are our ability praises. Here on our right side, what do you see? These are our process praises. So again, ability praises and process praises. Okay? So on ability praise, this is how parents and teachers tell you, no, pag ability praise. See, you're good in English. You got an A on your last test. So we need to stop doing that now, according to studies. So instead of saying that, we can deal with a process praise by saying, you really studied well for your English test and your improvement shows it. Okay? Or let's say if a student gets a high grade, you tell the student, wow, you got a high grade. Maybe it's because you really took an effort to study your classes. Parang ganon. So you don't tell the student, ang talino mo naman, taas na nakuha mo. So hindi daw ganon. Okay? So another example of an ability praise. You got it. I told you that you were smart. So that's just like my example, no, in Tagalog. In English lang to. So in process praise, ito naman, sabi dito, I like the way that you tried all kinds of strategies on that math problem until you finally got it. Or you can tell the student na, I admire you for doing or dedicating time to study this lesson because your grades really show that you did study it and you learned a lot. Parang ganun. So you're admiring the student for his or her effort, for the process that he or she took to reach that point, not because of what she has or what she is right now. Okay? Given all of us are smart, I believe in that statement. All of us are smart, but it may be in different ways. Okay? Okay, so story time tayo. So magbibigay ako ng story, parang magkikwento lang ako sa inyo para maging light yung mood natin. So alam nyo ba, when I was still at elementary, my grades weren't really that good. I studied at Dubai pala, sa United Arab Emirates. That's where I grew up. My grades weren't really that good before, na hindi ako part ng top 10, hindi ako part ng achievers, ganun. But when I entered high school, something happened. This was the time na nagkaroon ng global crisis. So global crisis, that means Dubai is also affected. UAE is also affected. So there was this time na laging nag-aaway yung parents ko na about financial problems because it's time of the crisis before. One time I heard my dad tell my mom na pauwiin mo na yung mga anak natin. Masyado na tayong maraming ginagastos dito sa Dubai. I think mas maganda kung lahat kayo umuwi na sa Pilipinas. That parang struck my heart in a bad way. They thought that I was sleeping, but in reality, I was just like covered in my blanket. Pero hindi talaga ako tulog nun. So I heard all of their conversations. That thing struck my heart. Because, you know, parang as kids during those times, I don't want to be separated from my family. I don't want to go back here sa Philippines and not have my mom and dad beside me as I venture through my life. That's hard. That's difficult. And what I did the following day, I think that's a good thing, no? Kasi my parents developed the growth mindset in me. It's a good thing. The following day, I knocked in the principal's office. I was first year high school this time. Kumatok ako doon sa door ng principal's office. I asked the principal, Ma'am, can I request for a scholarship? Ang lakas ng loob ko mag-request ng scholarship. I'm not even a smart student. I'm not even a stellar student that time. I asked for a scholarship. Then, the principal told me one condition. Sabi niya sa akin, promise mo sa akin na you need to be top 1 or rank 1 from this day forward up till you graduate. So I was first year high school then. So I needed to maintain top 1 daw until I graduate fourth year high school. So what's the good thing about it, no, is that yung scholarship na binigay sa akin, hindi lang siya para sa akin, it's also for my siblings. Apat kami. And I'm the panganay or eldest. So it's a parang big pressure for me, no, na maging top 1 parate. Kasi pag hindi ako naging top 1, kahit top 2 lang, mawawala yung scholarship ko and also of my siblings. So they're under my care, kumbaga, during that time. So, ayun, I took that pressure into good use. I used it because thankful for my parents, no, they developed the growth mindset in me as we were growing up, as I was growing up. Na I took that pressure of being the top 1 in me, okay, every year, and God willingly and thank God, consistent lahat yon throughout my high school years. I was the top 1 and I was able to graduate as a valedictorian. So see na a person like me who didn't have good grades, who didn't have parang stellar capabilities nung elementary ako, I was capable of changing myself during high school. I was able to maintain good academic standing, ganun. And I also was elected as a president ng student council ko nung high school and secretary. So, ayun. Then, time came about, I entered college and I received also a scholarship from UST. Lahat yon, buong college stay ko, may scholarship ako, 100% from UST. And the only thing that I needed to do was to maintain my grades. It's hard, of course. It's different from high school. But then again, having a it's not always a growth mindset for me nung college. There were times na I had a fixed mindset. But given the tips that I told you a while ago, what did I do? First, I surrounded myself with supportive people, supportive group of friends who helped me venture through the way. Second, when I feel helpless, I ask help from other people. I don't rely on my own only. Okay? And third is always pray. Okay? Don't lose prayers on your day-to-day lives. Prayers help. Okay? And number 4, yung isa kong tip na important din, I learned it also the hard way nung college. Rest is an essential part of your day or work. Okay? So what do I mean by that? I think most of you here are fond of having all-nighters, ganun, no? Studying, burning your midnight oil, ganun. Or hopefully, you guys are really talented, you don't do all-nighters, ganun. But sometimes we tend to sacrifice rest already. And I hope you don't forget that. Don't forget to treat yourself also from time to time with Netflix, watching your favorite series, movies, playing favorite games. Those are also important parts of your day. Okay? Mag-allot kayo ng time. May gusto akong ibakita sa inyo kaso wala siya sa laptop ko. Later na lang if may time pa. So, ayun, no? So, God willingly again and thankfully, I was able to graduate as a magna cum laude ng college. So that's all thanks to the ever-evolving neuroplastic brain and the growth mindset idea. And when I entered med school, so that was 4 years ago, 2017, when I entered med school, I also clinged on to what I learned on my life. I'm still always learning from my everyday naman. But ayun, God willingly, again, I was able to survive med school, the most difficult yet most enjoyable part of my student life. And right now, I'm a doctor already, and I can achieve my dreams of saving, helping other people, which I've always wanted ever since I was a child. So, ayun, I never gave up, and I hope you got inspired by listening to this story na there are bad days, yes, but there will be good days also. Okay? So, ayun, kaya ako sinishare to sa inyo, naalala nyo pa yung isang factor kanina, yung factor 3, ay factor number 2, observing peers, right? Okay, so ito yung ginagawa ko sa inyo ngayon para matulungan kayong i-develop yung growth mindset. I hope you got to observe through my storytelling, no, on how I develop my growth mindset, and I hope you do as well in the near future. Okay, so thank you so much, and it was a pleasure talking to all of you right now. And please stay safe amid the pandemic. And kapag lalabas kayo, don't forget to wear your mask, face shield, and wash your hands parate. So if you want to contact me, here are my contact details as well. Thank you. Stay safe.